Welcome back to the Lunchtime Catch Up podcast. I thought I would do a very quick check-in. I know we did the show about Merrett and Rids and Drapes initially. Unfortunately, that was kind of hours just before a whole lot of things changed and a whole lot of things were confirmed. We just didn't know what the reality was back then, but there's obviously strong links and rumours and everything like that, but obviously things a bit more concrete. And obviously we now know fully that Zach Merrett is likely going to seek a change. His manager has come out pretty much said so. And, and it is Rids has also met with the Lions. As we know today, we know Merrett had, without the club's knowledge, a dinner with Sam Mitchell. I think Sam Mitchell and his partner, Merrett and his partner. I guess it's funny that we did that show, then so much seemed to happen within sort of 10 hours as far as information. So I do understand why that show now would seem a little bit strange because we weren't sure what was reality, what was truth, questioning everything. But now we know that a lot more's come out. It's a bit more clearer what's going on. Obviously, Craig Vozzo was on SEN explaining their strong stance with the contracted players. And then obviously Brad Scott was on AFL 360 and did a 15-minute talk on the whole matter. And I'll probably start with that discussion there because it was one of the best moments of Brad Scott's career at Essendon, I thought. That was just personally me. I thought he was very strong. I thought he led with real conviction. And I felt like what he was saying is what he believes because you could see it in his body language, in his eyes. He was clearly hurt, probably by the blindsiders of Zach because they've got a close relationship, and I do know that. So I think that was a little bit of, I think Brad's very much a loyalty kind of based coach. And maybe that's a little bit old school, but I think that really floored him. So I could see it in his face. But he, for me, even though he went on AFL 360 to talk to a wider audience and a national audience, and maybe we'll say talking to Essendon members and fans, I just felt like that was him talking to Zach Merrett. He did note that he didn't catch up with Zach that day, and I don't think that would probably be by accident. And I just felt like that was the Essendon senior coach talking to Zach Merrett direct and his player manager about where he sits on recent commitments to his contract. Obviously, even 8 weeks ago, it's quite bizarre when you listen in full Zach Merrett on AFL 360 8 weeks ago, how gung-ho he was. He knew the rebuild, he knew the vision, the young players coming through, fully committed. It's quite bizarre to even think 8 weeks later we're at this point. And I think that's what I think that's what Brad Scott is really challenging Zach on the show on, because he strongly feels like, the CEO came on, he's committed, contracted. I've come on, I'm contracted. Barham's on contracted. We're turning over the new high performance team. We're doing this. We're changing things. You can see it in articles that we're going after more development side because they're talking about Luke Power, Essendon having an interest in there. So they're still trying to build up as quick as they can the development side, keep strengthening and put money into resources to get this team up and running as quick as they can. So I think there's a little bit of element, like we're all on board and we're all doing things, and you were all kind of with us as a trio, and then this. So that's how I read the situation. Is what's kind of what's going on, and that's, you can tell that's going to have some, have to have some conversations take place. But what it does do, this situation is, I think, present Essendon with a big opportunity. It sounds funny that as one part of you thinks the whole thing's a disaster, and it probably is, because it's the Essendon captain, right? But it does give a club that has struggled for 2 decades a real opportunity to change course, what kind of wake up. And I think it has been waking up, so I don't want to say like it hasn't been. I think they are trying to change things over the last couple of years, but really get to that next level again. And I think there's a real element to me in I'm going to say a strange thing, and I hope this doesn't offend people, but understand what Sam Mitchell did. Don't get angry at it. Embrace it, because we can have our view on Sam Mitchell and the whole drug saga and his taunting on the field and that. But let's be honest here. Sam Mitchell only gives a crap about the Hawthorn Football Club. He doesn't care if he offends anyone. He only cares about his club getting success, and success as fast as it can. And he'll do anything possibly that he can do. He'll meet anyone at any stage, contracted or not. He'll do anything. He'll fly anywhere across the world if a player he wants is in Italy tour, and they're 50-50, he'll fly to Italy and try and convince that person. And we've got to take a bit of humbleness and learn that lesson. Okay, because coming out of the saga became a very nice football club, which was the Essendon Football Club. It's been painfully nice. It's been painfully timid. And we've got to take a leaf of this moment here and understand this is what clubs are doing these days. And there's a comment Brad Scott made, and hopefully it comes through. Of all the 15-minute interview with Brad Scott, this by far was the most important 10 seconds that he said that the club has to now preach. And I'll just play it.
Is what Sam Mitchell's doing fair? Reasonable?
Oh, well,
Has it angered you?
Well, I think the world's changing. There'd be a time and a place in which I'd be, pretty disappointed. But the reality is now the gloves are off and all's fair in love and war, and that's the path they want to go down. Then we'll play at that game too.
That's it. That last sentence, we'll now do it too. That is the pinnacle turning point that this club has to make if it wants to be matching it one time with the big boys, because that's what they do. We've been a nice little club for way too long. Let's become jerks. Let's become unsociable hawks. Let's become a club that I don't care. Like I always say, I want a club that people hate. They hate us because at the moment we're just losers, but hate us because we're going to do everything possible. We're going to annoy every club to get every little advantage, get their players, poach their players, convince their players. Now, I know that takes a lot of foundational work and cultural work to, one, build our club up in itself, and I think that's happening. But this is that moment there. The whole part about Merrett and everything is out the window for me. That is the essence of the Essendon Football Club moving forward, because that's now got to be, I mean, I would have next year's slogan, gloves are off. He said it. That's it. That's the slogan. Gloves are off, because we're no longer going to be this nice little club anymore. You know, we want Kobe Buick. You know, that's why I was wrapped with the guys with the Essendon leadership going to the AFL. It was like, it's not something we feel like we normally do. We challenged them. We went to AFL House. We challenged them. We want this and this. We expect this. If one of our players, hey, preach the message. Hey, if you guys have a suspension, we don't think it's right. We're going to challenge it every time. If you don't think it's right, we're going to put some money in the cap and we're going to challenge it. That's our commitment to you as a club. And what we expect of you, though, is to put your head down and play your heart out. We'll back you up every time, and you back us up every time. It's a different psychology at the club that has to change. No more Mr. Nice Guys. We have to be absolutely ruthless as a club moving here. It's got to be a fundamental change in how we do everything, how we, you know, we've obviously started to talk for 2 or 3 years about demanding excellence, how we do the pre-seasons, how we do that. So that to me is what I just wanted to convey today. And look, with Zach Merrett, I'm sorry, Zach, you're one of my all-time favourite players. And I have no doubt, I'll still always remember you fondly about how you've played on the field and how you've represented the club. But I'm sorry, I have to say this. I don't take on board this woe is me. I'm sorry, but man up. Like, I've watched Tony Lockett, I've watched Robert Harvey, I've watched Gary Ablett Sr., I've watched these guys not win premierships, and they're some of the greatest players. I always remembered some of the greatest players. So they stuck it through. But I'm sorry, but like, I don't want this, like, this vibe that I'm getting in the media and that about the poor Zach, and he's not going to win. He doesn't look like he may have success. I'm sorry, but you're the captain. Like, demand it. You're the one who's meant to instill change as well. It's not just on the coaches. How are you working off field? How are you talking to every young player? Because from all reports, it's McGrath that's doing all the legwork, sorry. So what are you doing to demand change? Yes, you demand it yourself and you build up your own game. What are you doing to the 40 other players? And so I don't want to hear this, woe was me and I want success. Why? I don't value chasing cheap success. I'm sorry, I don't. I wouldn't want to be a player that goes to a grand final reunion in 20 years and everyone look at you like you're just the top-up player that year that got us over, you know, that won a premiership. I'd rather gain the respect of earning it, of earning changing over aside from being on the bottom to success. So I'm sorry, that's how I feel. And, you know, you've got here's the situation. Every coach that you've been to at Essendon has applauded you. We've constantly raised your contract. We've raised it again last year. We actually acknowledged you playing well, and out of respect, the club themselves proactively reached out to you and saying, we want to reward you by what you're doing on the field, and you're getting $1 million. You're a 5-time BNF, like, for a 150-year-old club. This is not the worst part of your life. You're not going through some turmoil. I'm sorry, but I've watched Joe Watson as a captain go through the most horrific thing you would ever want to go through as a human being, in being a captain, having the worst drug saga, having a club basically have a poorly run system that has ended up you being punished, you being stripped of your Brownlow, and this guy who's had everything under the sun hit him. He has a right to go, I've had it tough. He has 12 months get out of the game, forced out of the game. He has to fly to another country to get out, to just actually for his own mental well-being. This is what this guy went through. He came back and played for the Essendon Football Club. That is a guy I have unbelievable admiration for, because he has every right to say, this club, I have a genuine grievance and I probably need a fresh start. But this is not Zach Merrett's story. All it is we've been having seasons where we're not winning as many games as he would like. But he's been treated extremely well. The club has been everything. They've flown him overseas to help further educate himself on their bill. They've like I said, they've upped his pay to $1 million. They're constantly giving him every award under the sun. They've given him captaincy. This is not, I'm sorry, a grieving period of your life. Yes, you want success, but it doesn't come cheap, and it shouldn't come cheap. And if you want it to come cheap, then I'm sorry, I don't think I can respect that from what I know of you and what I've always respected you on. I don't think your journey to a top 4 club and just choosing someone to win a grand final with, I don't think that is something I can applaud. It's just you haven't really earned it. I would have more respect for a Dyson Happel who's been suspended out of the game and kicked out of his prime, in his prime years through a saga, and then captaining the club after that 12-month suspension while actually talking to guys like Hurley and that and influence them to sign up to the club he loves, and doing everything he can to try and make the club better. They're my people that I lift up. So I'm sorry, Zach. I love the way you play. There's no doubt you'll be a champion. There's everything I love about how you play, but I'm really disappointed in this little moment in time. But no one person is bigger than the club. I'm sorry, but there's no one person that should be bigger than this club, whether it's Zach Merrett, it's Coleman, it's Hurd, it's whatever. The club is always going to continue on. And the club has to now look at what is best for them. And if this gets ugly with Zach Merrett and he starts to vocalise publicly about wanting to get out of the club and everything like that, then let's be honest, the club will probably have to make a trade. But that trade will have to be on the club terms. So Zach has to understand he is a contracted player. So the club can only do what's in the best interest of the club. If a good deal is not presented, Zach, you're playing for Essendon, it has to be a monster deal. It has to be on what benefits the Essendon Football Club. This is, like I said, this is no more Mr. Nice. The gloves are off. You started it, but we have to now wake up and finish it. And we have to have solely selfish focus on what's best for the Essendon Football Club, because we're all sick of finishing bottom 9. We're all sick of it. And I talk to people at Essendon. They're sick of it. They're trying to change it. And this is your moment. This is our moment. This is a nice wake-up call to finally get this club and saying, all right, we're going to be really ruthless now. Like, look out, because this is where it starts. And if we can build this list, we actually can improve quite quickly. I genuinely believe that. I know people are skeptical on that. And I know when I say quickly, I'm talking sort of 4 or 5 year periods. So that might not be quick to some. But, obviously I think we've drafted really well the last 2 years. And we've obviously got a very good hand coming up this draft. If we can draft well again. Look, to be honest, if Zach does go, yeah, Hawks, you pick 8. Next year's first round pick, we'll pick up Huss, one of your players, your VFL that's starring. We'll pick up Mackenzie. We want a monster deal. We want to solve some player issues, upgrade some players. We want 2 first-round picks. People might say, "Oh, that's crazy." Trust me, when clubs know they want their star, they know they're a star short, or Hawthorn does. There's a reason why they flew every friggin' week to Harley Reid's house. There's a reason why they're reaching out to Butters. And Zach Merrett's in their sights. They're going to pay overs, and we're the club that actually has to force them if that's going to come to part. So sorry, pick 8 this year. We'll tell you. Imagine if Draper comes with a pick 6 for 4, 5, 6, and 8, and then you can really rebuild fast. 4 guys in the top 8. I know they'll be top 12 by the draft night, but then you have next year's draft before Tasmania. You have 2 first-round picks automatically being built in. You got some NGAs with Blake Justice and that coming in as well. Then you got the following year, hopefully with all the groundswell of clubs pitching to the AFL about can it be in 3 years' time, the start with the father-son. Then if that comes through and the AFL agree to that, then you got the Kobe Buicks in the Tasmania draft year. And you got then, 4 years of really solid drafting, sort of that 12, 13 top-end kids. And you're matching them with what you've got. With the Zach Reeds, I heard today, I can't say the source, but I heard today that an outsider of Essendon, well in the industry, actually said the 2 recruits that Essendon's done in their high performance probably makes him in the top 2 high performance in the AFL, such as the calibre of the 2 people we brought in. So hopefully that injury front from our youngsters, getting Hayes back to where we want him and get his ACL right, getting Nick Bryan's ACL right, getting Nick Martin back. You think of all these names. How can we get our health back? You go, obviously going to improve quite considerably with some of these, with the Colwells and all that sort of stuff. So you can lament and you can sulk about what's happening with Zach, or you can actually flip it on its head and go, well, actually, this could be the catalyst of a new Essendon. And it may mean sacrificing Zach, but it can be the catalyst of a whole new group of youngsters putting their arm around each other, saying, let's do it. Let's build this group together. And guys like Archie Roberts and that, who want that, who, these guys, they're all on holidays together. These guys are very passionate about making Essendon successful for them, because they're going to be the drivers. They're and you got the Durhams and Colwell as well. That age group is very, very similar. They're very passionate about going to the next level. So you can really flip this on its head and make it a new Essendon, and a ruthless Essendon, a gloves off Essendon, and an Essendon where we enjoy people hating us because we're going to court everyone's players. We're going to be ruthless. We've got the draft picks coming up in 2 years. We're coming for your team. We're coming for your players. And that's what we have to do. That's why I didn't mind the whole Zach Bailey news. It didn't mean it may eventuate, but the approach, we're going after him. He's an All-Australian this year. Great. He made All-Australian. Well, here's $1.3 million. We've got a cap. We've got such a salary cap with Draper leaving. And imagine if Zach Merrett left. We've got a salary cap to really go shopping. So that's it. We've got to turn. It's important for us, even though we're going through a hard time, it's important for the football club not to have a sulking moment here and to have that look in the face that Brad Scott and AFL 360 had. That was the most positive thing that I saw. I saw a Brad Scott that was kind of saying, F it, I'm going now. This is like, I'm peed off and I'm going to, you could see it in his face. And when he said that, fine, the gloves are off. We can do this too then. And I went, that's it. That's the eye. That's the look of the eye I want. From what I hear, that's been resonating through the club even today. And I'll just say that. I want that to be this could be a really catalyst for something different and hopefully something real. So I'm not trying to build up false hope because I know we've got a lot of work to do, but they know it as well. But I see this as an opportunity to really turn things around. and build the Essendon from scratch that you want. With obviously Shealy and say if Merrett does go, your older crew are almost all gone now. It really is, your Langford's age and under. So you've got a whole new hub of players that can form a journey together, and we'll see what pick 4, 5, and 6, and maybe 8 bring us as well. But there's going to be very good players come through our system through the draft. That this draft is better than people think. The confusing part about this draft is that they say there's no top end talent, like there's no Harley Reid, which is true, right? Though I think Dersman is a very, very good footballer and could be a star. But there's also, where last year's draft, probably around that pick 6 or 7 mark, where people went, oh, wow, like pick 6 to 20 or 25 is such good players available. This is where almost that draft starts. The top 20, 25 players are actually very, very good footballers. They're just not Harley Reids, or they're just not, Nick Dacos. But then underneath that, though, they're very good players. So to have as many picks in this 25 is really key. You've got to get in the top 20, or even in the top 20 would be really valuable, because there's a lot of good players of all different positions, which actually makes it exciting. You can have defenders, small forwards, rucks. You have forwards, wingers, midfielders. So look, I wanted to sort of paint a different feel today, because I've done my hurt and my anger and my sulking, but I don't know what triggered me. And you probably saw it in my tweet today when I said Sam Mitchell's not our issue. But it just hit me when Brad Scott said that. It just hit me and went, oh, that's what we've got to do. We've got to embrace what Sam Mitchell's doing. We can't knock it. I can tell. I can tell they're not thrilled with Sam Mitchell. I think we can all tell they're not. But you've got to embrace it as a club, because you got to understand that's where the real ruthless clubs are at. So it's like as Brad Scott said, fine then, Sam, gloves are off. We'll go about it the same way, and like perfect. That's how to do it. So I hope that makes sense. Look, Jordan Ridley, people want to know. I still think he stays at the club. I think he's going to be a different story. I think they're going to really have him honour his contract. His age makes a bit of a difference here. Like Zach Merrett's a tricky one because he's turning 30. So I think there's an element there of they're going to try and make him honour his contract, but it's also a difficult one for the club, because you can also at that age get a monster deal before he's in his 30s, if that makes sense. So if you make him honour it another 2 years, then his trade value goes down considerably. So it's an interesting part. They have to make the right call with Zach, and if Zach's really flaring up, I think the only call is to trade him and get what you can for the club. And I think you make Jordan Ridley honour his contract, and you meet him with Matt Innes, you meet him with the high performance team, and say, you know what, we're going to get your body right, and that will make you enjoy your time at the club. We're going to back ourselves in at age 26, 27, and where you actually start enjoying your football again, because we understand your history, we understand why you're frustrated, but we're going to make you enjoy your footy again. I think we're going to make you honour the contract, and I think that's how it's going to play out. I think Jordan Ridley will be at the club next year. So I know he's met with the Lions, but I believe strongly that he'll be at the club next year from all the little talks I've had. That's how I see it. And I think that's the right move. I think you've got to back yourself in to get him right and get your centre-half back set for the next 5, 6 years. I think that'll be very, very important, because if he's healthy, he's a very, very good player. He will complement massively Zach Reid and Mackay especially. So your whole defence would be set for a long time. So to me, hold that one. That's the one you hold. That's the one you honour. Zach's a little bit of an interesting complex one because of the age, captaincy, and what you can get in return if you really play the hard line. So that's my little take. I hope it makes sense, but I wanted to change the narrative a bit and change the energy a bit. And I hope you can hear what I'm saying, because I think this is what's going to start happening at the club. From little whispers I'm hearing is like that spirit that Brad Scott had in that sentence. Gloves are off. Okay, new club. We're going to be ruthless. Let's get this club once and for all into today's world where it's cutthroat and it's willing to tramp over anyone for success. That's to be blunt. Let's get it to that stage. And we only get this club up and running to how we want to do it, and we'll do anything we can in any way to get it to be successful again. And if they do that, I'm on board. If I see that energy, that's what I want to hear from them. I want to hear from the energy of like, we'll do what, I won't say whatever it takes. We don't want that slogan, but we'll have the gloves off. And we'll be our own little Sam Mitchells, and we're going to poach your Hawthorn players, and we're going to poach other players. And we're going to start building guys through this draft. We're going to build up our development even more. So every under 23-year-old player has massive access to line coaches to get better and more skilled more quickly. And we're going to keep building and building and building and add father-sons and add NGAs, adding top 10 picks, and then grabbing from free agencies with all the money we've got. And we're going to start forming a club that is going to be on field, something you're going to be proud of. So that's what I want. That's what I'm hoping they're doing. I like their strong stance. I like that they went to the AFL yesterday to make sure they get their Kobe Buick and let the AFL know exactly what they think. I like that they're doing Zach Bailey. I like that they've changed over the high performance team and not just change it over, but actually bring in two of the most high caliber people you can to make it a center of excellence. Understand that. That's what we want. Let's move on. Zach, if you want to go and you want to cause it ugly, it's been nice. Loved watching you play, but Essendon's bigger than you, and we'll move on and we'll get better. Bye.